Business Foundations for Mums, with me, Kate Butcher, is the podcast to listen to if you are a mum who is ready to launch your business, not sure where to start, or wanting to turn that sideline into something more serious. It will be full of practical tips, mindset advice, and inspirational and honest interviews with mums who are juggling business and motherhood, supporting mums in business to turn your dream into a reality. And welcome to today's interview, Hannah. Hannah, first of all, please could you start off by telling us a little bit about you, who you are, your business, your family, and how that all fits in together?
Thanks for having me on your podcast. I'm Hannah Martinig. I'm from Revamped Image Photography, and I am a photographer that specialises in personal branding and empowerment. I am married to my husband Wayne, and we have two children. Esme, my daughter, is 13, just turned 13, and I've got a son who's 19, Jude, as well. And then we've got two cats who you might see, or Alan might make an appearance because he likes to get involved. It's got Alan and Audrey.
Fantastic. Well, you might well get the dog at some point as well, although I tend to edit out anything with him. If the postman comes, then I probably shouldn't say that word out loud. He will definitely make a verbal appearance, if nothing else. So yeah, working from home with pets and children.
Yes, yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
So tell us a bit more about your business and how that came about.
Yeah, sure. So my dad was a photographer, so that's kind of where I feel my creativity talent side came in. Although he left when I was 8, so he didn't really have like a huge influence on me actually by being there. And then Wayne bought me a camera for to take photos of our daughter when she was born in 2011, and started off just being a hobby, really, just as an interest. And then I took it to one of my friends' weddings, so and a school friend. We've been friends for 30 years, and I took photos just as a guest. That was in Ibiza. And when I posted the photos on Facebook, she messaged me and said, why are you not doing this as a job? Because you're really talented. They're just as good as my professional photographer that I paid to take the photos. And and it was lovely to hear, but I was a bit like, no, it's fine. It's just a hobby. I do it for fun. And I truly believe that at the time. Looking back now, I feel I can probably accept that was probably more fear than anything of kind of failure and of saying that I want to do something like that. But at the time, it was a big no from me. I thought it would become a chore and I wouldn't enjoy it anymore if I did it as a job, which couldn't be further from the truth. Actually, now I'm actually doing it. So I didn't do anything with it for about 4 years, and then I went to see a documentary called Embrace, which was by Taryn Brumfitt, an Australian lady who did train to be a bodybuilder. And what she identified was that she didn't feel any better about her body, and in some ways actually felt worse when training to be a bodybuilder than she did having what would be considered a mum bod, because she had to put so much effort into the diet and the training, and she found it exhausting. And she said, and actually, it doesn't matter what we look like or what we're doing in ourselves, we are never happy. And that is actually more to do with the outside influences than what's inside us. It's about the media, the social media, the fashion and beauty industry, what they portray as what we should be looking like, what we should be doing. And we get all these kind of bombarded images of what we should look like. And 9 times out of 10, those aren't real images either. So that really resonated with me, because that's how I'd been feeling for so many years, but not really known why I felt like that, or that it was even a common thing. I thought maybe, I was a bit on my own on that. I didn't realize actually everyone else pretty much feels the same. So I really wanted to do something with my photography that would help in that respect. So I decided I wanted to do photo shoots where I would help people to feel more confident in front of the camera and more comfortable in their own skin by showing them photos of themselves where there was no image manipulation. So no airbrushing, no trimming, slimming, removing things that should be there, so that people really could just kind of accept who they are for who they are. Like, if it's on your body and it tells your story and where you've been and what you're doing, then it should absolutely stay. And I think we're too quick to kind of make everything look perfect, and life isn't perfect and we're not perfect, and we need to embrace that more than it, just as the documentary title says, embrace it, enjoy it. So that's kind of how I got into the empowerment side. Then I left my job in 2019, I was in a corporate career, left that to do this full time, off the back of a photo shoot I did with a lady who had breast cancer. She had a double mastectomy. She came to me wanting a shoot to help her feel more empowered and, you know, show that she was still feminine and beautiful even without her breasts, and having gone through all the pain and the trauma she was going through. Had an amazing session, and then left my job, and then the pandemic happened, which is great timing.
Oh, wow.
But actually that helped me in some ways, because what it really allowed me to do is really focus on what I wanted to do with my business, where I wanted it to go, and what my real values and my aims were with it. And that was definitely the empowerment side. I really definitely wanted to continue with that, but also it helped me see, because I couldn't work with kind of families and just normal, just average, you know, everyday people in the pandemic because of the rules. I could only work with businesses.
Okay.
So that's when I sort of pivoted my business more towards the business side of things. But I thought, actually, no, I can still take a slightly different spin on this and show people in their authentic selves in their business, because, as I'm sure you know, people buy from people that we know, like, and trust.
100%.
So when you're showing up in business, you want to show who you are. You know, there's a million photographers out there. There's a million virtual assistants and a million accountants and all sorts out there. Why are people going to choose you as opposed to somebody else? And that's going to come down to what they like about you as a person, what they identify with and relate to. So really, we need to be showing that in our photos and on social media and our websites. So that's what I help people do as well. Again, with the same thing of no over editing, not showing anything fake, not taking things away from the photos, and not adding things in that aren't there as well. And that's
absolutely
kind of my two main focuses, really.
Fantastic. And I think that's so right as well, what you just said about the know, like, and trust. People do buy from people, but actually a lot of the time when somebody comes across you for the very first time on social media, it's an image that is going to capture their attention first and foremost, and then they're going to read the caption that goes with that. So if they can see an image of somebody that they resonate with and that they feel that it's immediately somebody that they're drawn to, that's so important. It's such a huge, important part of the social media journey, I suppose, to reach your customers.
Yeah, so you've got to obviously draw them in with your photo so that you look open, engaging, relatable, approachable. Like, you know, you don't want people to think, oh no, I'd be scared to message them or not too sure. So that's the first thing. But also off the back of that, what you then want is when they meet you to get that same feeling. You want that to come through the screen, as it were, or through the image, but then that also to be the case when they meet you. And I think far too often people don't realise it. We use photos that are either out of date or are quite old, or, you know, whatever it is. It might be out of date in as much as you've had your hair cut and coloured and whatever since you had your photo taken. It might be that your photo's 20 years old, you know. On LinkedIn, that seems to be quite a common thing, because it's something you don't spend. I think we think about changing our profile photo on Facebook far more than we do on somewhere like LinkedIn.
That's true, actually. Very true.
And I don't know why, but I guess because it's more of a professional platform. So we've got like the professional images on LinkedIn, and it might be a headshot that we really like, and it's 10 years old and we haven't even thought about it. But what that does is when someone comes to meet you, and they're like, oh, that wasn't who I was expecting, because they look completely different. And it's not a bad different. It's not about that. It's just about it being different to what you expect. So that puts you on the back foot. And it also subconsciously, or especially for myself, I just think, if you're not being honest about what you look like now, what else aren't you being honest about? And in business, it's so important that you trust the person that you're speaking to.
True.
So I think really the first point of honesty is about who you are and what you look like, and then the rest comes after that.
That authenticity is so important. It's such an important part of business, definitely. The other thing you said there, which I'm definitely going to be relaying to my husband, is that you said about how you realized that a big part of your reason for not starting your business earlier was that fear that you would lose the passion for it, that you wouldn't enjoy it as much if you had to do it every day as your business. And my husband's an incredible woodworker, and that's exactly the reason he always gives why he doesn't want to do it as a business, because he's worried he's going to lose that passion. So I'm definitely going to be playing him this interview and making sure that doesn't have to be the case. You can still do what you love and still have a passion for it.
And I think actually it makes it more of a passion, because you just wake up every day. And yes, of course, obviously I'm human. There are days when I wake up and think, oh, I can't even bother to do that editing today. I don't really want to do like the admin stuff. But the actual taking photographs themselves, I never get bored of. That is the part that I love. and I could do all the, and I think if you think about it, you think, if I did this the rest of my life and I wasn't getting paid, would I still enjoy it? That's the mark of whether you're doing something that you're passionate about and you enjoy, and how does it affect others. I love the fact that my photography can make people think, can make people feel differently about themselves or about other people, and can tell a story. Like, I did a journalism degree. I love words, I love the English language, and I love writing, but I also love, and I could write all day long, and when I do write, it goes on forever. But I do love that a picture can say so much with no words at all, and really be quite powerful. So yeah, absolutely. If you love something, why, if and you can make it a career, why not? Why not spend the rest of your days doing something you love? That's the goal, surely.
Absolutely, definitely is. And I love the message that you're putting forward there as well, that actually that genuinely how our bodies are, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. The media, like you say, portrays this perfect image of what we should look like. And it's really easy to get sucked into that, about what we should be. And that word should, which I try and avoid using in any circumstance, because there's no shoulds in life. We're all individuals. But I think for me, certainly, I'm very conscious of it at the moment with an 11-year-old daughter, that she's growing up into this world. And I've always been quite lucky. I've always been fairly not bothered about what I look like, in that sense. I've never been concerned particularly about my weight. Other people around me have been more concerned about my weight than I have been. And I've never been particularly body conscious. But certainly with my daughter coming into that age, 11, and suddenly there's comments coming home, and it's worrying knowing that our children grow up in this world and have so many of these expectations of what they should look like imposed upon them. And it really does scare me, especially seeing as now I come across so many younger people who are having surgery to make themselves look what they consider to be perfect, or what society thinks should be perfect. And that frightens me, because to me, I'm all about being imperfectly perfect. Or perfectly imperfect, isn't it? That's the right way around.
Either way works, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfectly. But for me, the imperfections in people are what make them unique and special and interesting.
How boring would it be if we were all exactly the carbon copies of each other? It
Yeah.
would be boring, and we'd have nothing to talk about, because that scar that someone has, I mean, okay, they might not want to talk about it, but 9 times out of 10, if it's something important to them and changed them, they will talk about how they got that, and that's as part of their story, and that makes them who they are. And so it's important, I think, that we honor those things and acknowledge them, because we are all unique and special in our own way, and it's become normalized that we should want to change ourselves. Like, we don't even think about it now, we just automatically, subconsciously want to change ourselves, because that's just how it is. And we see these images, or we see these adverts for things, and go, oh, I need to look like that. And it's not even, when we see these, like, I do it myself, when I see on Facebook or in a magazine, and I don't really read magazines, but if I see something and I'm like, oh, I want that outfit or the top, what I want to look like that in that top or that outfit. So when I then buy it and I put it on and I don't look the same as that model did, I automatically feel worse about myself, until I subconsciously then check myself, think, no, hang on a minute, why don't I like myself? It's because I don't look like, well, of course I'm not going to look like them, I am not them. And I don't have the same body shape, and I don't have the same haircut, or any of those things. And then I kind of realized, well, then in which case, do I like how I look in it? That's really what you should be asking yourself, not do you look like the person that you saw wearing it, because you're always going to be discontented then, aren't you, if you're comparing yourself to someone else. And that's the unfortunate thing about today's society, where we live in a comparison society, where we're always, whether it's looks or success or career, whatever we're doing, we're constantly measuring ourselves against other people without knowing what they've gone through to get to where they are. And I think we also forget, just something as basic as the fashion and beauty industry, those people that you're looking at wishing you looked like or looked like them in those clothes, they don't look like that most of the time either, because their images have been manipulated. So they aren't that thin, or they are that thin, but they haven't got that perfect skin, or they aren't that tall, or whatever it is. They've probably been manipulated image-wise. So they're looking at images of themselves, wondering why they don't like what they see in the mirror, because they don't look like that either. And that's where the whole thing, I think, becomes very dangerous, because and that's why it's so important to me with my photos. I want people to see in the mirror who they see in the photos I take of them. I want them to see the same person, because I had a shoot done myself years and years ago now. It was like a boudoir type shoot, and the images were beautiful. There was nothing wrong with the photos, but they weren't me. Like he'd elongated my legs for a start, so I immediately didn't see the same person in the mirror, and I wanted to look like the person in those photos. And that's never going to happen, because I was never going to. I can't make my legs longer. all the surgery in the world isn't going to help me with that.
No, I'm not aware of one yet that does that.
No,
not
I'm
to say
sure
there
it'll
won't
be
be one in the
coming.
future, but stretching.
And I just think I don't want to, and I'm not about shaming people. Like, if you want to change how you look, there's nothing wrong with that if you're doing it for yourself. So, like, people that have lip fillers, Botox, things like that, I'm not saying that that's wrong. I just don't think it should be expected that is what we have to do to fit into society. That's where it becomes wrong and a bit of a grey area for me.
Absolutely. No, I do agree with that. And I think definitely for us as mums, this podcast is all for mums and about mums. And as mums, your body changes. And like you say, the scars that we maybe have, or all of those things, they're part of our story, but they're part of the fact that we have become a mum as well. Our bodies are totally different after motherhood than how they were before. For a multitude of reasons, not just what we've been through physically, but also, lifestyle changes when you become a mum. Everything changes. And yeah, I think it's something to be, as you say, something to be honoured or recognised, and not necessarily hidden or, immediately removed.
No, exactly. And if you really think about it, like, how amazing are our bodies for going through what they do to create a baby, to have a baby, and then to nurture it and look after it after they come into the world. All those things require so much effort, both mentally and physically. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for that, because, again, it's just expected. That's just what women do. It's what we've done for centuries, and it's what we'll continue to do. And it's not considered special anymore, because it's just what we do. But actually, no, it is special. None of us would be here without people like us, without women. And that is going to take a toll on our body, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, yes, obviously there are individual things that can happen that aren't great, but as a whole, that experience and the gift of bringing life into this world is a gift, and is and if our bodies can show that we've done that, we need to be more appreciative of that, and cut ourselves some slack, because and I say ourselves because I still beat myself up about it. By no means perfect.
And I think like you say, no one's perfect. No one is going to be completely immune from those feelings, from those expectations we have put upon us by society, from the expectations we put upon ourselves. It's human nature to have some degree. I say I'm not particularly body conscious. There's still moments when I am, but everyone has that.
That's exactly it, Kate. With my shoots, what I'm very keen to kind of put across the point is that it's not about self-love. That isn't the goal. And because self-love isn't immediate and it isn't permanent. How we feel about ourselves is very much fluid and fluctuates all the time, just like our moods, just like anything. So for me to sit there and say, well, have a photo shoot with me and you're going to love yourself, and then you're going to stay loving yourself, and you'll never have another problem ever. That's just not true, and I'd never portray it any other way. But it's about just reframing how you feel about your body and looking at yourself in a different way, and just being able to look at yourself and be like, okay, my body is this way because of XYZ, and that's okay, and I accept myself for how I am right now. I might want to change it in the future. I might want to lose weight. Might want to have Botox, whatever those things are for you. And that, again, that's okay, as long as you're not feeling less worthy or feeling like you shouldn't show up because of the way you look now, because that is where we hold ourselves back. And we are very often, women are told we shouldn't let ourselves go, because letting ourselves go implies that we have stopped caring about ourselves. So and letting ourselves go is then associated with not wearing makeup, not doing our hair, not dressing to please others, and all those type of things. And I thought about this the other day, and it was Florence Given on her Instagram said a similar thing, and it was about, actually, we should be letting ourselves go more, and that should be about letting ourselves go, as in not caring about what other people think about us, not caring about the expectations that society put on us, and just letting ourselves go and enjoy the moment, enjoy who we are, accept who we are, and not care what anyone else thinks about that. That is the true kind of mark of letting ourselves go, and that should be encouraged, not made to be a bad thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about being our authentic selves, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yes.
It's such a a key part of it. Amazing. Thank you. And you mentioned earlier on as well about the fears that got in the way. Can you tell us a little bit more about the fears that stopped you from starting your business in the first place?
Well, yes, of course. So I guess that goes kind of back to similar to what I've been saying about letting ourselves go and holding ourselves back. And it's about, what are other people going to think?
Mm-hmm.
People are going to judge my photo. Other photographers out there that I perceive are better than me, that had more experience than me, more knowledge than me, had been doing it longer. All those things that we, comparison again comes up time and time again. So, and then that other part of, other people saying, who does she think she is, giving up her job to do this, jealousy, sometimes people not being able to do what they really want to do because they either haven't got the funds to do it, or they haven't got the nerve, I guess, to do it, the bravery. I don't know. It's not even necessarily the bravery, but they just don't, for whatever reason, they don't feel they can do it. But they see other people doing it and they instantly think it's a bad thing because they're, again, projecting how they feel. And I've done it myself before, I'm not saying I haven't. So all those things. And I was just a bit like, yeah. So I put up those barriers and said, no, I won't enjoy it because it'll become a chore, because then I'll have to do it for money, and then it will become something I don't. Because historically, in most jobs that I've been in, I haven't enjoyed them because I've had to do them. I've had to be at a certain place at a certain time, doing a certain thing, being told what to do, all those things that come with being employed. And so I think you just automatically equate doing something that you love as a job into that, forgetting the fact that you're not employed, that you're actually doing it for yourself. And so therefore you control when you work, how you work, to a degree. Obviously, if you need to make money, you're going to have to actually work.
Yeah.
But it's on your terms.
Yeah,
and you're enjoying
absolutely.
what you're doing. You're not having to do the boring bits that you don't enjoy all the time. Yes, there are certain elements of that in running your own business, of course, but if you do it successfully enough, you can start to outsource that as well, which is, great. And I've just started doing that. But then you do get to a point where you don't really want to let things go because it's like, that's my business. I want to do it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the beauty. Yeah, that's the beauty of running your own business. And it's hard and it's scary and it's tough. And like when I handed my notice in, I felt such a mixture of excitement, but excitement and fear are the same feeling. They feel the same. And I felt both, because it was so exciting to be able to just have that freedom and do what I wanted to do, and complete gut-wrenching fear that suddenly I don't have X amount of money coming into my bank at the same day every day, every month. But actually, when you flip that and think, well, actually, no, because I might actually get more this month, and then next month I might get more again. And yeah, then the following month I might get a bit less, but you're totally in control of that. And that's a really empowering feeling. And again, because I'm about empowerment, it's not just about on the photo side, it's about all in, really. Just that feeling of empowerment of that you're in control of how much you earn, you're in control of what hours you work to a point, you're in control of who you work with. I get to choose what clients I do and don't work with, because I can't take photos of everybody. I don't have enough hours in the day, but I also don't want to. There are some people that I just wouldn't want to work with because they're not my ideal client. The people, for example, that say to me, can you airbrush me? Can you take away that double chin? Can you do that? No, I can't. I physically can't, because I didn't never taught myself, because I knew it's not something I ever wanted to do. But also I won't. I just won't do it. So if that is really, really what you want, then I'm not the photographer for you, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. So it's really about stepping out of your comfort zone and being brave and deciding that you want to make a life for yourself that you're happy with. And if that's doing something you love, like I said before, that's the goal. If you're not enjoying your life as it is, what's the point?
Absolutely. No, I love that. It's all about the passion and the authenticity, and you're bringing all of that together, which I think is so important. Fantastic. And it's such a good role model as well to your children for what they can do with their futures.
I hope so. And with Esme, our daughter, I feel I have done a good job with her. We've done a good job with her, because she does seem to love herself in a really kind way. So she's very kind to herself. She doesn't think she's perfect, but she always tries her best, and she always looks for the best in others. And so she's very kind to other people. And like when she sees that I'm having a bad day and I'm not loving myself that much, and she pays me a compliment every single day. And if I ever say anything negative about myself, she will say, "Mummy, you're beautiful inside and out, and don't forget it." And she just, yeah, I can't even describe how. I don't know how I've managed to do that, to be honest, because sometimes I think with the negativity that I've given myself over the years, has that impacted her? And actually, no, I don't think it has. And she doesn't care what other people think of her. She really doesn't, which is quite unusual at her age, as being a teenager. But she wears what she wants to wear, and if other people don't like it, she doesn't care. She listens to the music she wants to listen to. She watches, and she honestly, she is her own person, and I hope that never changes. I'm aware that it might change over the next few years, but I really hope it doesn't.
Yeah, having that independence is so important, and not being led by what everyone else is doing. And I think obviously the journey that you've been on to bring your business to where it is, and to bring that passion and that authenticity to your business, is obviously rubbed off on her.
Yes, I think she does always say, oh, she's really proud of me and what I've done. And when I think about it, I don't really think I've done that much. But then when I think about kind of what I've been through, and I think sometimes I do something, well, actually, no, I am quite proud of myself. I survived the pandemic business wise. That could have gone very wrong, and it didn't, because I used it to kind of hone in on what I wanted to do. And I've tried to help other people. That's always at the core of anything I do, is how I can help others with either my talent or my own ability, or whatever. That's always important to me. And I hope that comes across. That's all I want to do, is make people feel better, really.
And you've got a business club as well, haven't you? A photography group?
Yeah, so it's my In Focus Visual Content Club. So that's for business owners, entrepreneurs, small businesses who want to have images that reflect who they really are and what their business stands for, and then on a more regular basis. So going back to kind of being authentic and making sure that your images are up to date and refreshed. Quite often businesses, you can't afford to have a photo shoot every other month, a full-on shoot. Some people can't afford to have one at all just when they're just starting up, because it is a large expense. So I developed a club to enable businesses to have regular updated photos, but at a much smaller cost, or spread across the year, if they want to. So it's a monthly payment. You can pay up front, but it's also monthly. And we meet every other month. The location changes each time, and you get 5 images included in your membership. So it's a 12-month membership. And then, so therefore, over the year, you get 30 images that you can use to refresh. So if you have your hair done once a month, by the next month, you're going to have new images for it. Or if you've got a new product or a new service coming out that you want to promote, you can have photos taken of that. It's whatever I can take photos of in that time, you can have it. There's no real rules on that. I just say, bring anything, bring your products. If you do products, bring props, tools of your trade, branding, colors, branded items, anything like that. And we'll take headshots, it can be product shots, it can be anything. Quite often we'll have a person with one of the other members of the club pretending to be a client or something, so they've got those kind of client interaction types of images and things like that. And we take photos in office setups, cafes, to show that people can work remotely and anywhere, outdoor shoots, it's quite varied. So, and that's been really well received, and the photos are always just gives a bit of variety for people, really.
Absolutely. That sounds absolutely brilliant. So Hannah, what would you say is the best bit of business advice that you have been given since you started in business?
Oh, so I've been given so much advice, which has been brilliant, because I'm part of a lot of networking groups and you get a lot of advice in those. I'd say probably the first bit of, and it was more life advice really, but it's what spurred my business on, was from Sharon, who I did my photo shoot, who had the double mastectomy, and she said life is too short not to do what you love, which is why I gave up my full-time job to do this, because she passed away shortly after our session together, and that really kind of proved her point that life is too short, and you never know when your time is up. So if you really want to do something, you need to do it, because you don't know when you'll get that chance. So that was my first bit of kind of life advice that kind of transferred into the business world. And then ongoing mainly is about the authenticity, but it's just be yourself, just be you, because that's who's going to bring you out. You don't want to work with people that aren't the kind of people you want to work with. So by being yourself, you'll only ever attract the people that you're meant to work with. And that's probably life advice as well as business. But I think more so now than ever, there used to be very much kind of like a business life and a personal life, and you didn't really mix the two. That sort of has, especially for entrepreneurs and sole traders, I think that has now gone. It's very much now, it's just life, and you have a business within that. And people want to know you as a person, not just your business. So yeah.
It's so very true. And I mean, certainly for us as mums as well, quite often our children, our families are very much part of the why behind our business.
Yes.
For a lot of mums as well, we've set up business so that we can be there for our families. So to whatever degree our families are involved in our business, that they are almost certainly going to be influential in some way, and therefore they're part of our business to some extent, aren't they? So
absolutely.
Those things absolutely intersect.
And because whenever I meet anyone, I want to know, yes, I'll know what you do. I want to know why you do it. Like what gets you up in the morning? Why are you so passionate about it? Why did you start? And and they're very different things. So why did you start and why did you keep going? Because we all start for a reason, but then there's another reason why we carried on, because our whys will change and they'll evolve. And I want to know all of that, because that's what's going to make me then want to work. If I know I'm supporting you because you've got this big dream, or you've got family support, or something tragic has happened that you're trying to overcome, or whatever, that's what's going to make, okay, that's why I want to give you my business. And I think that's really important.
Absolutely. The life story that's behind everything. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So I just wanted to find out from you as well, do you have a favorite tool that you use within your business? And I'm going to quickly caveat this and say, I already said to Hannah, please don't say Canva, because everyone always says Canva, and we all love Canva. I'm sure you probably love Canva as much as everyone else.
I do love Canva.
But everyone says Canva, and I feel like I needed to get some different answers that aren't just Canva.
No, as a creative, I absolutely love Canva. So yes, that is definitely one of them. But the other one I would say, and it's not a specific tool, as in I'm not going to give you a name of a program. For me, it's Studio Ninja, but it's CRM. For me, having a good CRM is essential, because I don't actually know how for the first probably 3 years of my business, I didn't have one. I just used an Excel spreadsheet and my emails. How I remembered anything, I do not know. But now I've got a CRM where all my customer data goes in. It automatically puts my shoots into my calendar for me. It sends out the invoices. It tracks the process of the workflows and everything like that. And it just makes everything so much simple. So I think if you can get a good system, and it doesn't have to be an official CRM necessarily, but there's lots of free programs now that you can use to kind of do the similar thing. But just having a really good business system in place to track what you're doing and who you're doing it with, I guess, is the best thing. So that I find really helpful. So if you are still using an Excel spreadsheet, stop that and get yourself a proper system, because it's life-changing, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does make a huge difference. And like you say, it depends on the CRM that you use. Some are all singing and dancing and have all sorts of different functions within them. And for other people, it might be that you use different tools for the different elements of that as well.
Absolutely.
But something to track things and to record things and to, like you say, send out invoices or follow a workflow is really, really important. Definitely. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Trello. I've created my own workflow system in Trello. And that works really effectively for me. And it's really simple, but it's one that I use that's very versatile to me. And can you repeat the name of the one that you use? You said it's called?
Mine's called Studio Ninja, so it's actually developed specifically for photographers.
Okay.
But I think some wedding planners, event organisers use it as well, because it's sort of geared towards that sort of industry, like creative industry. A lot of creatives use it basically, but it was designed by photographers for photographers. But so it's brilliant. It's got the contracts in it and everything. So I find that it just keeps me organised.
That's good. That's really good to have the contract. The contracts are included within it.
Yes, you've got contract templates, and you can upload them into it as well, and you can amend them, and it attaches them to, when you send out the invoice, it attaches your contract, and they sign it within that as well. So they've got like a client, so it has your client portal, so when they access through the link to the invoice, it shows them their contract, it shows them the shoot date and any other documents that you might put in there. So it's like a whole thing for your clients, which is really good.
That sounds fabulous. Wonderful. Thank you, Hannah. And do you have a favorite business or self-development book, some kind of book that you think would be helpful for mums in business?
So I would say a favorite author is Mel Robbins. So any of her books, I would highly recommend. If you haven't read any of those, read those. I'd start with the 5-second rule, if you haven't read any of hers. But other than that, any of them. She has a podcast as well, which is brilliant. So I listen to that every Monday and Thursdays when the new episodes come out, and I listen to that every week religiously. because it's like having a little life coach in your pocket. So literally, if I wake up on a Monday and I'm feeling a bit like sluggish from the weekend and not really wanting to do much, she really peps you up and makes you want to just get going. You're like, all right, Mel, okay, I'm on it, because she just does it in a really engaging way, and she talks about things in a way that, like, it's not telling you what to do. It's like, look, I do this too. I know how hard it can be. This is how we're going to do this together to overcome this. And it's so you feel like you're doing the journey with her, which I find really helpful. So yeah, any of her books have been really helpful to me in my business. And then the more recently, probably the most recent book I've read was The Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. That was really, really good. And I went to see him speak a couple of weeks ago as well. And he just knows what he's talking about, and he's just got some really good tools for going forward in business, and just tips of the trade, I guess. And they'll interesting stories to tell as well, which I like. That I like people who've got a story behind why that worked for them. That always helps.
Amazing. Yeah, no,
I've got so many books. I could talk about books all day.
Maybe we should just do a whole podcast episode all about book recommendations. Fantastic. Yeah, no, Stephen Bartlett he's an incredible young man. He's still incredibly young, and he's done so much in business, and is incredibly intelligent, but also very, very personable, isn't he, as well? He's such an easy character to, I say listen to, because I listen to his podcast. That's my primary way that I know him.
And most of self-development wise, I mostly listen to audiobooks. So I read fiction and I listen to non-fiction. And I really like it when it's the actual author that's reading it, but it has to be someone whose voice is engaging. So Mel Robbins and Stephen Bartlett, I could listen to all day. There's some that I've listened to, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to read your book because I can't listen. But most of the time it's nice to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were. But another book that I would recommend, which isn't really a business book, but for women particularly, so for mums that might find it good, is Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
I love that book.
Was an amazing book. So many aha moments in that. One of the quotes was, who would you be if you remembered who you were, or something like that. I don't think I've got that exactly right, but that was, and I just thought, wow, that's quite a powerful quote, because I feel that we were all meant to be something and do something. It's just when we get here and we get bombarded with life, we can forget that. And so I think it's important to go back and remember what it was you wanted to do, and then do it.
And I did love, right at the very beginning of that book, there was that really, I suppose the analogy that she used was being in the zoo and watching that prowling cheetah, going up and down, and how it was caged. And that was the moment she realized that she didn't want to be caged within the confines and expectations of society and everything that's expected of her. And it was just such a visual representation of what the whole book is about. Which it really, that did really struck a chord with me. Definitely.
Yeah, it was a really powerful book, and I listened to it first, but then I actually bought the book, the hard copy, to read again, to highlight the quotes, because I like to go through and highlight them, to kind of really hone in on it. So
interesting messages in there about phone use and things like that for young people as well. That's a bit that really stuck with me as well. Especially with a young daughter getting to that age, which actually so far my daughter got a phone for her birthday a few months ago, and she's not, I mean, she uses it, but she's not that fast. If she forgets to charge it and then doesn't charge it for 2 days, she's not bothered. And I'm like, oh, I couldn't live without my phone being charged for 2 days. That would really stress me out.
Esme is similar, and I obviously make her charge it because she needs it when she goes to school, so that I can check. I've got family links, I can see where she is walking to and from school. But she'll quite easily forget it, and she hasn't asked. She's got WhatsApp, and that's the only social media she's got. Now she's 13, she's obviously allowed to have other ones, but she hasn't asked. She briefly mentioned TikTok, and I said, oh, I'm not sure yet. And she hasn't asked since, because I'm trying to put it off as long as possible before she enters that sort of world. And she doesn't seem that bothered, which I'm quite pleased about.
That is good, definitely. Amazing. And actually, just going back a moment as well, you mentioned about Mel Robbins as well. And again, I think she's absolutely fabulous. I've listened to a number of her podcasts and I've read a couple of her books. But the 5-second rule is such a brilliant book, isn't it? It's a brilliant book and a brilliant rule for life, I suppose. And it's something that I'm currently doing. I have a small 5 a.m. accountability group. with a few people in there. And that was something we talked about using. And a couple of people have tried the 5-second rule as a way of actually getting out of bed when, you know, that moment when you wake up and you think, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. And they've tried that and said how effective it is, which I know it was really effective for me when I was forming the habit of getting out of bed at 5 a.m. years back. And I read that book then, and it really, really helped me to just do it, just get that habit done and get out of bed.
And it's so simple. You hear someone say, we'll just count from 5 to 1 and do it. And you're like, well, yeah, all right, yeah, that's simple. But actually, it's not that easy. It is simple, but it's not that easy. But when she puts it into the process, and then it becomes easier, and and you see why it's so simple and how it actually I think she talks about it, how it literally changes something in your brain. So it's actually a physical thing. And that's what I really like about Mel Robbins, is that she is very much science and fact based. So she talks about the science behind stuff, but she also is a little bit woo woo and a little bit spiritual without really admitting it, because I'm very spiritual and I like all like angel numbers and all. I'm all for that. So I like that she mixes manifestation and law of attraction, everything, but with the science behind it, so that people can buy it, you know, can really get on board with that, even if they don't believe necessarily in all that other stuff.
Absolutely. And she's very straight to the point. She's very direct and very fast. And you have to kind of, I almost feel like I need to put the podcast on sort of slow down, you know, slow it down a little bit, just so I can process what she's saying, because she talks at such a pace. I struggle to keep up sometimes. But I
think that's what energizes me in the morning. That is her fast pace. Like, she's like, come on, we're here, we're getting on with it. And you're like, all right, you can't do anything but join her, otherwise you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Amazing. Thank you so much, Hannah. That's a whole load of recommendations there. So that's really good.
Sorry.
That's great. That's a good thing. We love a book recommendation, definitely. And like you, I'm exactly the same. I listen to all of my business books on Audible, because for me, I'm an auditory learner and an auditory processor. So for me, that's the best way to absorb it. Plus, as a mum, it's great because you can multitask. You can
that's
have a book playing in the background while you're cooking the dinner, or while you're driving, or while you're out for a walk or a run.
You don't have to set aside that time, do you?
Exactly.
You just do it.
Exactly. And I just, don't have time to sit down and read a physical book. I'm trying at the moment. I'm doing 75 hard at the moment, which means you've got to do 10 pages of physical reading a day. And that's the biggest challenge for me, out of all of the, you know, all of the fitness and the drinking the water and the healthy eating and everything that goes with it. You know, for me, it's the sitting down and reading for 10 minutes that is my biggest challenge, that I really, really struggle with. So yeah, 10 pages of reading is quite hard.
It doesn't sound a lot, does it? And I get into bed and I've got my book, and I love fiction, I love crime fiction. But by the time I get into bed and I start reading, my eyes start going
exactly that.
I've read about 3 pages. So yeah, it is hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much. You've given us some amazing insights today, which has been really wonderful. So thank you. I really appreciate you spending the time talking to us today. Before we finish, could you let everybody know where they can find you?
Yes, mainly I'm on Facebook. So Revamped Image Photography I've got my Facebook page. I've got a Love Through the Lens group as well, which you can join, which is where I talk about more the body resilience, body elements of body positivity, but I try and move away from that. It's more body acceptance and just kind of some positivity within the group, just in general, to kind of try and make you feel better about yourself. But it's also space to share if you're struggling with things, and if you just want to feel a bit more empowered. So that's my group there. I have got an Instagram as well, Revamped Image Photography. I am also on LinkedIn, so I'm on all the main platforms. But really, I love to talk to people. So really, just drop me a message, either private message or email, hannah@revampedimagephotography.co.uk, and I'll always respond. And happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Wonderful. And the other place to find you, of course, is at networking. If you're in Aylesbury anywhere, you will almost always find Hannah networking, which is
I am
fabulous,
a prolific networker. So I'm part of a few groups. Aylesbury Business Connected, which is also where I met you. Kate is brilliant, and that's a free one, so that's always good for people just starting out.
It's a great group,
Bob,
actually.
Bob Business Over Breakfast is a paid one, but that's transformed my business. I've been part of them for a year now. And that I've met so many people that's helped my business. So not only have they worked with me, so they've obviously helped my business in that way, but my website designer through them. I met my business coach through them, met my social media manager through them. So if you're starting out and you're looking for support with your business, not just getting clients, but also, because they will recommend you to everybody, you will get clients, but if you just want business support, find a networking group, try different ones, see which ones work for you, because not everyone will like the same ones. But that's probably my biggest business tip, would be, it's not a tool as such, but networking works. If you do it properly, if you do it right, it 100% works, and it will totally change your business, and you actually, it'll transform you as a person too.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I'm a huge networking fan. I go to as many networking meetings as I can, as well as hosting my own. So yeah, fantastic. It's been really lovely to speak to you. Thank you again for taking the time to speak to us. And
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll have lots of people coming to find you and looking at your posts. And if anyone is in Aylesbury area and needs a photographer, I can vouch for the fact that Hannah is a fantastic photographer. I know lots and lots of people who've used you for all sorts of different kinds of photography. So yeah, absolutely, get in touch with Hannah if you need a photographer. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Speak to you soon. Take care.
Thank you for joining us here at Business Foundations for Mums. You can find all of our episodes, show notes and blog posts at businessfoundationsformums.co.uk, and you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook.